Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the King's Podcast with your host Eugene, aka GGGGG Money. On this podcast episode of Net Worth King's Podcast, I'm going to continue talking about finances. We talk about money, we talk about finances, individual finances, celebrity finances, government finances, business finances, and the economy as a whole. So as we continue talking about South Africa and the economy and the state that we are in as a country, there are a lot of things that are going on which are not making me happy. Many people are not happy about having to pay more tax, having to pay more VAT, having to, finance the different things that the government is spending the money on. There are many things that are going on, and as a country, we are dealing with those things. We are financing those things because of the fact that our salary, our business income, and our VAT, all these monies, they end up at the hands of the government, and the government uses this money the way they see fit. And I am giving them the benefit of the doubt. Unlike many people that I know, there are many people out there, some of them is you guys, you don't agree with the way that government spends money, but nobody comes to your house and tell you how to spend your money. You do your own budget, you have your own house budget, you do it the way you want. If a child dare and tell you how to spend money, how to plan, you're not going to be happy. The same thing with the government. We have the tendency to quickly, say that it's our money, it's our taxes, it's not being spent properly. But let's look at the South African budget and how it is being spent, and then I will continue to talk about tax and the gaps that we have in our country, and maybe let's start a discussion. We already have been talking about problems and all of the things which are wrong. Maybe let's start on this episode a discussion on how we can improve, on how we can make things better as a country, as a tax authority. What can SARS do to collect more money? On this episode, I'm not going to talk blindly. I'm going to refer you to the National Treasury, which is the government department that deals with the funds of the country. The National Treasury has posted the budget of the country, and this budget, it starts with the income, it starts with the spending, and it breaks down the income of saying, where does this money come from and where is the money going? Most people are interested in VAT, which is only 499 billion of where our money comes from as a country, and then the increase in VAT is only 28 billion rands of where that money is coming from. So most people are interested in that part as it is in 2025, but I want us to look at the budget as a whole and then go and talk about tax. Why are we not collecting enough tax? Because if you look at the budget with a positive eye and not being negative, you're going to see where our problems are. Why are we not collecting enough money? So let's first look at income here, and then we'll look at expenses here. Income, you have South African income. Tax income is around 2 billion, and then you have other income or collective combined income is about 2.2 trillion. So tax income 2 trillion, other income combining with tax income is about 2.2 trillion. That's about the income that we receive, and where that money is coming from, 800 billion is coming from income tax, which is personal income tax, people's funds, where you make money through salaries, through employment, and any other income that is not business related. That money is about 800 billion. Then you have 330 billion, which is companies tax or corporate tax, where the government taxes companies. Make a note of that, 330 billion. And I'm not just pulling these numbers off my ass, man. I'm not just pulling them off the top of my head. These are the numbers that you can find on the National Treasury. So it's 800 billion, and then you have 330 billion rands where we are collecting this money from companies, and then you have 499 billion, which is VAT. Look at that. We collect more VAT more than we collect from companies. 499 versus 330, but companies are way bigger. They should be taxed more, but they're only taxed on net profit, the income after you subtract from your sales, your cost of sales, your expenses, your depreciation, and many other things, and then you get taxed. That is less money that is being taxed, but it's only 330 versus the 499, which is VAT on goods. 499, according to me, in my own opinion, opinion, it's still little money. We should be collecting more from VAT, but I'll expand later on that why we are not collecting more. Look at this. We have a GDP of almost 6.9 trillion, but on the goods that are being produced, services that are being, rendered, goods that are being exchanged and converted multiple times throughout the chain, throughout the ecosystem, until we can aggregate all these things and we identify how much money are we making as a country. We make close to 7 trillion, 6.9 trillion, but we can only collect VAT within a year of about 499 billion. Is very small. If you look at how much that money is very small. So if you were taking 10% of 6.9 trillion, you'll be looking at 690 billion if you were collecting 10%. But our VAT is how much? 15% right now. We're not even collecting 10% of what we should. We know that there are other goods that are exempt, like your fuel, your diesel, and many other things. And those things contribute to our country, and many other goods that are being produced, food stuff, basic food stuff, your maize meal, your other type of products where there's no VAT in them, your bread and all those kinds of things. We know daily bread, every day bread is sold, bread is bought, bread is consumed. So some of the other things is because they are tax exempt and they are part of the GDP of how much we produce, but they do not get taxed with VAT. That's why you see that we only collect 499 or 500 billion of the 6.9 trillion GDP. Now, I talked to you about income tax, personal income. Government charges that to people and everybody in private sector, and then there is companies tax, then there is VAT. There is also other tax when people bring their goods to the country, import of goods, or people who are bringing their goods from overseas, they get charged also. There is a fee that they do get charged, and that fee is excise duty, import duties, things of that nature. We make about 80 billion, less than 100 billion of that money is coming into our collections that the government collects. If you add 800 billion, 300 billion, and 499, that's almost 1.6, 1.7 trillion. 1.6, 1.7 is still less than 2 trillion. And when you add other incomes to that, it becomes 2.2 trillion, which is the money that we are making as a country. And we are spending 2 trillion and 590 billion, 2.59 billion. That's how much money we are spending as a country, but we are making less. So now let's look at our problem. Immediately, if you earn 100 rand and you spend 150 rand, you already know as an individual that you have a problem. You spend more money or your life costs more than what you are earning. That is what is happening with our country. We spend more than what we are making. So what do you do as a person, as a government, if your money is not adding up? Something is not right, guys. Something is not right. We're not making enough money. What do? You look at avenues where you can make more money. Where can you get more money? So basically what you can do as a country, find ways to make more money. But the government, the finance ministry, the fiscal monetary policy and all of that, those committees, they know what to do. They are good at it. All of us, we went to school, we studied accounting, finance, we understand maybe economy to a certain level, but we don't deal with these things every day. I trust, personally, I don't know about you guys, I trust the government and the Ministry of Finance that they have people who are capable. They have capable people in the government who decide what is going on in our country. Where are we going to grow this economy? How can we make more money? I trust fully 100% the Ministry of Finance. They are educated people with PhD experience in economy, economists of note, people who deal with this thing every day. You have also consultant people from overseas. We are learning from different governments. We have the BRICS structure, people who are advising us, working with the country to make sure that we do our part, we grow as a country, and that benefits BRICS also. I do not believe that for a second that this country is incapable of raising more money, making more money. But in the meantime, in the now, they have decided to not increase personal tax, to not increase companies tax, only they have increased. The only thing increased is VAT. I believe they have a reason why. And my belief and my suspicion is that they are doing this because they suspect the country is going to grow. The economy is going to grow from maybe 6 billion or 6 trillion to 7 to 10 to 8 trillion, and we make more money. As you grow, I suspect that the VAT, being that it has been increased by a percentage, in the next 3 to 5 years, our country is going to be around 10 trillion of GDP, and then we're going to make about 1 trillion or 900 billion in VAT. That is my deduction when it comes to why did the government and the ministry decide that VAT must go up. They are looking in the future. As the country grows, we are going to grow and we must collect more tax. There are people who don't agree with this. There are people who think that we must not increase tax because investors, they're not going to be interested in our country if they get taxed more. But if you didn't know, VAT is a tax that is an indifferent or a zero-sum tax. It's a zero-sum tax because nobody really pays for it. I pay some and I receive some. At the end of the day, I pay the government the net of what I received versus what I paid. Nobody is really in charge of VAT. So VAT is not the type of tax that is going to deter investors from coming in the country. The tax that will deter and make sure that these investors stop coming here with big sums of money is companies tax. That is why you see companies tax has not been increased. Employees tax also has not been increased because of reasons of the country is not doing well. The prices are going up. People, we are already strained. We are already in a bad situation. So they can't increase income tax. I believe these people are smart. The government is smart. The government, the National Finance Ministry, different committees, they have people who know what they are doing. So now we have a problem because we make so much money in GDP, but we don't collect enough taxes. And the commissioner of SARS has also indicated that we don't have an income or a production problem. We have a lack of collection problem. We have a capacity problem. The country cannot collect tax. We are unable to collect tax because it is complicated. It's a complicated process to collect all the tax to the maximum. You cannot collect because there is broken systems within the country, broken systems of detection. We cannot detect with certainty how many businesses are making money on cash, circulating it in their economies and their communities, and that money does not get to the government. That money does not get taxed. We know that it is happening. There are communities of people who are running businesses on a cash by cash basis. Companies who are running business on a cash by cash and also on an illegal basis. They are putting some things on the illegal side, on the black market. Money is moving in bags, money is moving in trucks, money is moving in boxes without being detected by our government. What we need is a system that works. Border management, flight management, airport management, all this aviation management and local government processes that are efficient enough to detect where we are losing money. If the government makes 6.9 trillion, we only collect in VAT about 500 billion, and we only collect companies tax in about 300 billion. That's about 800 billion. It's not enough to even be 10% of what we are trying to collect. We need to collect more, taking into account that companies tax is supposed to be around 28%, and then the other tax is about 15% on VAT before the increase. So as a result, I'm suggesting we come up with solutions that will enable the country to collect more money, to collect to the maximum. If companies are paying tax to the maximum, all of them, small and large, individual business people, if we are paying tax, all of us, small and large, we should be making more money. The government should collect at least 2.5 trillion in tax. That will cover our budget. If we collect 2.5 trillion and the government makes more money through other ways, like your government-owned entities, they do business with the private and they make money, we can have a tax budget of about 2.5 and other income of about 500 billion, and you can have close to 3 trillion, and the government GDP can grow, the country's GDP can grow. That is my suggestion, to say that we have a problem of collecting tax. We are not collecting enough. Our situations of tax is not in a good position. We are not doing well. We need to do more. We need to do better. My suggestion in the next video, I'm going to jump quickly into the solutions. What solutions can we do? What other countries are doing? And what can we do to improve how we collect tax? Check it out. The next episode we'll be talking about what can we do, because we can see that there are many problems, but the one problem that I want to focus on, which is of course because you guys are not happy about VAT, are not happy about tax, prices of things are high, I want to only focus on one thing: tax. Focus on tax and talk about why we are not getting more money through tax. And that can help us, if we know why, it can help us to come up with ideas and plans to make sure that we collect enough. We are supposed to be collecting close to 3 trillion if our country is collecting enough. Until next time, this is the King's Podcast on the net worth segment, talking about finances. It's your host Eugene, aka GGG Money. Until next time, we're out.